In 1992, 97% of American high school graduates had completed at least one vocational education course. The average student finished 4 full years of hands-on trade training before they ever touched a diploma. Wood shop, metal shop, auto repair, electrical wiring. The teachers were not professors. They were welders and carpenters and electricians who taught what they knew because they had done it for decades. By 2009, vocational credits earned by high school students had dropped 14%. The shops were gone. The tools were sold. The rooms were converted into computer labs or left empty. And nobody raised an alarm because the entire country had decided that every single student needed a 4-year college degree, whether they wanted one or not. That decision broke something that still has not been fixed. And what it broke is now inside the walls of your house. The construction industry in the United States currently needs roughly 723,000 new workers per year just to keep up with demand. According to Harvard research, there are approximately 1 million fewer workers in the construction trades than there were during the last housing boom in 2007. The Great Recession did not just shrink the workforce temporarily, it gutted it. Between 2006 and 2010, the industry lost over 2 million jobs. Residential construction alone shed 1.3 million positions, a drop of 38%. And here is the part nobody talks about. Most of those workers never came back. They became truck drivers. They became warehouse workers. They went into oil and gas. Some left the labor force entirely. According to the National Association of Home Builders, for every 5 tradespeople who retire today, the industry is bringing in roughly 2 replacements. The pipeline is not slow. The pipeline is broken. But here is where this stops being an economic story and starts being a story about the house you are living in right now. When there are not enough skilled workers to build the homes people are buying, the homes still get built. The demand does not wait. The permits do not pause. The mortgage applications do not stop. What changes is who is swinging the hammer. According to reports from industry groups, 80 to 90% of contractors are struggling to hire qualified workers for open positions. When the guy who has been framing houses for 25 years retires and is replaced by someone with 6 months of experience, the house looks the same on closing day. The difference shows up 18 months later when the drywall cracks along the seams, when the doors stop closing properly because the framing shifted, when you notice the tile in the bathroom is not level and the grout is already cracking. These are not cosmetic annoyances. These are signatures of inexperience installed permanently into a structure you are paying for over 30 years. And the system that created skilled tradespeople in this country was dismantled on purpose. It started in the 1970s. A cultural shift decided that college was the only respectable path. Shop classes began to disappear. California passed Proposition 13 in 1978, which slashed school funding by 60%. Hands-on trade programs were the first thing cut. By the mid-80s, the average shop teacher in America was 55 years old. Almost nobody was being trained to replace them. In New York, vocational school enrollment dropped 25% in just 3 years around 2000. Seattle went from 17 shop class programs down to 4. Across the country, schools ripped out the lathes and the welding stations and replaced them with nothing. The message was clear. Working with your hands was for people who could not make it in a classroom. But here is what nobody calculated. Those shop classes were not just producing carpenters. They were producing the first generation of every trade pipeline in the country. The kid who took woodshop at 16 and liked it became the apprentice at 18, who became the journeyman at 22, who became the master craftsman at 35, who trained the next generation. Cut the entry point, and everything downstream dies. It just takes 20 years to notice. And we are noticing now. According to the National Electrical Contractors Association, nearly 30% of union electricians are approaching retirement. In construction broadly, more than 1 in 5 workers is over 55. Becoming a licensed plumber takes 4 to 5 years. An electrician apprenticeship runs the same. HVAC certification takes 3 to 5 years. You cannot manufacture these people in 6 months, and you certainly cannot replace them with a YouTube tutorial and a cordless drill. The United States is projected to be 550,000 plumbers short by 2027. Electrician employment is expected to grow at twice the national average for all occupations. And the application rate for young people seeking technical jobs like plumbing, building, and electrical work dropped 49% in 2022 compared to 2020. Gen Z is not showing up. And according to a national survey, only 3% of young adults said construction was a career they would like to pursue. So who is building the houses? That is the question that should terrify anyone signing a mortgage this year. The answer, according to industry observers, is a rotating cast of undertrained, overworked subcontractors operating under relentless schedule pressure with almost no supervision. The modern production builder does not employ a crew of craftsmen who build your home from foundation to roof. They subcontract every phase. One crew pours the slab, another frames the walls, another runs the electrical, another does the plumbing, another hangs drywall, and another installs trim. These crews often work across multiple job sites simultaneously, and they are paid per task, not per hour. Speed is the only metric that matters. When there are not enough experienced subcontractors to go around, the general contractor hires whoever is available. According to legal experts, many general contractors are inexperienced themselves. Others mass-produce thousands of houses. They frequently employ unskilled or overworked subcontractors whose work is poorly supervised. Government inspectors are often underfunded and cannot adequately review every project. Subpar construction gets approved without anyone catching the mistakes. The result is a pattern that home inspectors across the country describe with alarming consistency. Misaligned framing creates uneven floors and walls. Improperly installed vapor barriers trap moisture inside wall cavities. Electrical panels are sometimes wired by someone who did not understand load calculations. HVAC systems are sized incorrectly for the square footage. Plumbing joints that pass inspection begin leaking within 2 years. And here is what makes this worse. The typical new home warranty covers workmanship for exactly 1 year, 12 months. Most of these defects do not become visible until the second winter, or the first heavy rain season, or the first summer when the foundation shifts and the doors stop closing. By then the warranty has expired and the builder has moved on to the next subdivision. But the labor crisis did not just reduce the number of workers. It changed the economics of who stays and who leaves. When demand outpaces supply this severely, wages rise. Average hourly earnings in construction have been climbing roughly 4% year over year, and field craft professionals now earn about $36.50 per hour, an 18% premium over the typical private sector wage. That sounds like good news until you realize where the money is actually going. The experienced tradespeople who remain command premium rates. Builders competing for their time bid against commercial projects, infrastructure jobs, and government contracts. Residential construction, especially tract housing, is often the lowest paying option. So the best workers go to commercial. The mid-tier workers get pulled into infrastructure, and residential gets what is left. This is not speculation. This is the math that explains why a $350,000 home has crooked cabinet doors and a shower that leaks into the subfloor within 18 months. And then there is the immigrant factor that nobody wants to touch, but everyone in the industry knows is real. Immigrant workers now account for nearly 25% of the total construction workforce. In the trades specifically, that number exceeds 31%. According to NAHB data, the annual flow of new immigrants into construction dropped from an average of 88,000 per year between 2003 and 2009, down to 45,000 per year between 2010 and 2019. That is a 49% decline in the single largest source of new trade workers entering the industry. Whatever your opinion on immigration policy, the construction math does not care about politics. Fewer workers entering the pipeline means fewer skilled hands on the job site. And fewer skilled hands means the house you are buying was built by whoever showed up that Tuesday. The people who navigate this successfully do something that most buyers never consider. They stop assuming that new means good. They stop trusting the builder's reputation and start trusting the job site itself. The ones who know this system visit the property during the framing stage, before the drywall hides everything. They bring an independent inspector who is not affiliated with the builder. They look at the framing connections. They check whether the plumber used proper hangers or zip-tied the pipes to the joists. They look at the electrical panel before it is covered. They photograph everything. They ask the builder directly how long the framing crew has been working together. They ask whether the plumbing and electrical subcontractors are licensed and how many active job sites they are running simultaneously. If the builder cannot answer those questions or gets defensive, that tells you everything about the oversight your home is receiving. They look at the pace. If the house goes from bare slab to drywall in under 6 weeks on a 2-story home, somebody is rushing. Rushing means missed connections, skipped fire blocking, improperly seated windows, and nail patterns that do not meet structural spec. A crew that knows what it is doing takes the time to do it right. A crew that was hired last Thursday because the last crew quit does not. And they consider the alternative that the industry does not want you to consider. A house built in 1965 or 1972 or 1980, back when those vocational pipelines were still producing master-level tradespeople, often has better bones than a house built last year. The wiring might need updating. The kitchen might be dated. But the framing was done by a carpenter who learned from a carpenter who learned from a carpenter. The joints are tight. The walls are plumb. The floors do not bounce. That kind of structural integrity is not something you can buy anymore at any price point, because the people who knew how to produce it are gone, and the system that trained them was gutted for budget savings and replaced with a cultural fantasy that everyone belongs behind a desk. The country needs 1.5 million new homes just to close the current housing deficit. The industry needs nearly 500,000 additional workers just to meet demand in 2025. Trade-focused enrollment at 2-year institutions hit roughly 71,000 in 2024, the highest since tracking began. That is a start. But the gap between 71,000 new students and 500,000 missing workers is not a gap. It is a canyon. And every house built inside that canyon is a gamble on whether the person holding the nail gun today has any idea what the person who retired last year spent 30 years learning.